Welcome to the Terrible Outdoorsman podcast. You have your own host this week. I'm flying solo with a special guest that I'll get to here in a minute. Obviously, it's Danielsan here. I have headphones on today. Don't actually have a microphone. So if the audio sucks, you're just going to have to deal with it. Episode 228. Thank you guys for tuning in. We have a really cool episode coming up for you. We have the new crown champ of the Michigan Sporting Clays circuit, I guess we can call it, Mr. Stephen Steele. Stephen, welcome.
Hey, how's it going? Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, man. It's been one of those one of those things like I've been wanting to get you on for a while because I know how big of an avid outdoorsman you are, and within the duck hunting, the deer hunting, like you name it. And the duck hunting is one of the things that we really don't talk about very often on this show. So I want to try to talk about that a little bit tonight. But the real reason we have you here is because you are the 2026 Michigan Sporting Clays state champion. Unreal.
Hey, can you say that again? That sounds pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, the 2026 Michigan Sporting Clays state champion. Unreal.
Thank you.
So 37, you're 37, right?
Yes, sir. Well, yeah, they'll be 37 in August. Yep.
Right. So yeah, you and I are the same age. And it has been a dream of mine since I've been a little kid to win this shoot. And I know exactly how you feel because I'm living vicariously through you, man. I'm so excited for you. I was so a little history on this. So we've talked about the Pruckas before on this show. And for those of you that have listened, you know about Roseanne, her struggles. Little sidebar, she's doing great. Everything's wonderful. She just had a recent scan. Things are improving. Great news. So keep fighting, Roseanne. We love you. But Paul and I were talking, and we kind of got to talking about the Michigan State shoot, and the person's name who came up as the odds-on favorite to win the shoot was you. And you were the one that everybody was buzzing about. Everybody was talking about winning this tournament because you, sir, have been on fire.
Oh, thank you.
And you're so humble, and you're not going to talk about yourself, but you've been away from the game for many years. So you and I, okay, so backing up further. So you and I shot the Scholastic Clay Target program together. You shot on the west side of the state. I shot over here on the east side of the state. We were competitors.
Actually, I was over here on the east side as well, over at Detroit Sportsman's Congress.
Okay, so you were. Why did I think you were on the west side? Anyway, so you were up at Detroit Sportsman's Congress, where I remember one year shooting the MECC state shoot up there in the pouring down rain and the wind, and it was just unbelievable up there.
But, oh yeah.
Anyway, see what I mean about the sidebar conversations that we already getting sidebar.
Yeah.
But we didn't really know each other back then. I didn't really know of you. I don't think you really knew of me, and I feel like we were kind of both like maybe the captains of our team, for the time being. I think I was, out of the shooters on my team, I think I was probably the strongest of the five of us, and I can probably say the same for you. And we really didn't make that connection until a couple years ago when we met.
Yeah.
And so tell me a little bit about like that time off, because I'm sure I can relate. So like what led you to take that time off to then kind of come back?
Yeah, it's interesting. So yeah, you and I met at the 2023 Michigan State Championship over at Bald Mountain. Now, I remember it was a couple stations in. You started asking me where when I started and whatnot. We kind of put two and two together, like, oh, you shot the 2005 national championship? Yeah, I shot that too. And but yeah, I got into it. The Scholastic Clay Target program. Um, kind of as a side, a byproduct of wanting to get better at hunting, and then at the club, I had people come up to me, hey, have you thought about doing this? And so I joined the team, and it's I guess with taking time off, I did that for a while. I think I did it till 2005, and I continued skied a little bit longer after that. But I think I kind of followed the same trajectory a lot of SCTP shooters do. Is once you get a little bit older, your parents aren't paying for it anymore. Um, kind of some of your priorities change. You just kind of step away from it for a while. And I kept telling myself I wanted to get back into it, and um, once I kind of got to a certain part of my life, early 30s, I just jumped back in. My buddy Matt, he was shooting the Winter Five Stand League at Bald Mountain back in 23, and so he told me to come out. I shot with him a couple times, and I said, "Man, I got to get back into this." Yeah.
Hooked.
Worst
Hooked.
financial decision of my life.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and that is so true too. What you mean by that is, or what you're saying, and for those of you that don't know, like, you know, shooting scholastic clay target programs, you're under the age of 18. Your parents, grandparents, you know, whomever it may be, aunts, uncles, cousins are paying for everything. And then once you hit that certain age of 18, a lot of times the buckle comes unclasped, and they say, well, if you want to continue doing this, then this is on you. And we've supported you for long enough. This has been
Yeah.
a financial burden for us for long enough. And because it's not like most sports, you know, because most sports you can play at home, right? You can play in your backyard, like, you can go and you can play at your local basketball, court, or you can play at your local hockey rink or baseball diamond or whatever. Like with sporting clays, like, you have to travel, you have to buy your ammunition every week, you have to maintain a certain level of like competitiveness, like you have to practice, right? And if you want to maintain that level of competitive nature, right, like, you have to practice, and all that takes time and money and effort. And for those that are from the age of 18 to 30, like, you're not always necessarily in that position to do that. Now,
Hmm.
there are some that are, and are very fortunate to be able to do that still. And God bless their hearts. you know
Yeah.
but uh but but it's cool that you came back. And I feel like, for me coming back, because I did the same thing. I took a few years off, and it's probably 8 6 8 years.
Hmm.
And I feel like I never skipped a beat with who I was with and who I was hanging out with. And because everybody in the circuit has that mutual respect for everybody, everybody loves each other. We're competitive to an extent, but we're really not, because
Yeah.
we're friends hanging out shooting clays. And
That's.
that's really all it is.
Hmm.
There's that, like, 3% of us who are really competitive, and who we all are. Who they all are. Is because those here in the state, you know unlike, like, guys like me, like, I'm just going out to shoot because I love it. Yeah, do I expect to shoot well? Do I really want to shoot well? Yes. But do I shoot enough to shoot at an elite level? No, I don't. And yeah, so that just speaks, what I'm trying to get at is, it just speaks a lot for the community, and how welcoming the community is to bring people back. Um, so if there's anybody out there listening who has done it before in the past, who did it in their childhood, who wants to come back, who wants to do it, just come out, man.
Just do
You
it.
know how to find me. You know how to, call up your local gun range. They'll get you pointed in the right direction. No pun intended. So, um, yeah, so it's super cool. And I actually remember that 2023 state shoot because we were squatted on the same squad, and I was like, who the fuck is this guy? Like, this dude is amazing. Like, I've never seen this guy before. And then, like you said, we got to talking, and yeah, it's like, wow, what a small world, man.
Oh yeah.
You know, like we knew the same people. Everybody was, and it just, and it's amazing how it kind of comes like full circle like that.
Oh yeah.
It's as we're looking back when we were that age, talking and growing up with guys that are now our age, you know, now we're those dudes growing up with kids that are that age. It's like, it's and I hope to still be those role models, for the youth shooters that are coming up today. So,
Absolutely.
and I know you are, for sure, and I know you are an absolute advocate for this game, and you are a true ambassador to the sport, and I have a lot of respect for you and what you do. So,
Oh, thank you.
absolute kudos and hats off to you, man. So,
Well, thanks a lot.
um, so do you remember what your first shotgun was? You remember
So,
that?
so my parents, when I was 12, they told me when I was 12 years old, I could get my first shotgun. And they kind of went with the old conventional wisdom of the time, which I wouldn't condone now. They got me a single shot 410. It was a New England Firearms, full choke, 410, hammer on it, everything. And yeah, and shoot, you went to a gun shop back then. That's what they would tell you to do. It's single shot. It's going to teach your kid to make their shots count. 410, so not a lot of recoil. Um, but nowadays, I still love shooting the 410, but I would never give a kid a 410. It's hard to hit anything with them.
It really is.
Yeah.
It really
Look at a 410
is.
shell compared up to a 20,
Yeah.
28, 12 gauge shell. And I mean, it just doesn't have the payload that those guns do. Um, but back then, it's just I knew from the start that I loved it so much that even with that limitation, you know I another funny thing too is that gun I had outgrown it before I even got it. There's a picture of me somewhere with that gun on my birthday, and shoot, I'm already 6 foot tall, 250 pounds, and I got this gun that looks like a Red Ryder in my hands. Uh, but it was
Yeah.
but I still have that gun. Every once in a while I shoot a shot out of it, just just for fun. Doesn't fit me at all,
Yeah.
but it's
Yeah, for
it's
sure.
yeah.
No, that's great, man. And I feel like we all started with that 410. You know,
Yeah.
I I remember being at Multi Lakes, starting my shooting days and shooting a 410, not for long, but I always used to go to like low seven on the skeet field, and we used to just shoot low sevens,
Yeah.
or high ones, and then it was like, well, why can't I shoot the other targets? It's like, well, why
Hmm.
can't I go to these other positions that you guys are going to? And then that's kind of where the fuel started pumping.
Absolutely.
So, um, I shot a Remington 1100 for the longest time, and and then yeah, I mean it was that 410 to kind of start, and then it was the 1100, and then I shot the 1100 for years, and then I graduated, and I was religiously a Beretta shooter for many years, and
Yeah.
now I'm into the greeny world. So
Oh yeah. That's
yeah. Yep. So I know you kind of said your friend, your parents, or your dad, kind of got you into, the 410. Um, so I guess, do you remember like where that passion for like your shooting and where that drive sort of started for you?
Yeah, I mean, it was all about wanting to get better at hunting. Back in 1999, my parents bought a place up in West Branch, and my uncle, my stepdad, and I, we'd go grouse hunting every year. We didn't have a dog or anything, or actually at least a hunting dog. We had dogs with us, but they were pretty much worthless. Um, and we'd spend all day hunting out there, and if I was lucky, I would flush one grouse, and I never hit one. It's just, I mean, every time I went out, it was the same story every time. Grouse, woodcock, I couldn't hit any of them. And then um, my stepdad, we got invited over to, there was an old sporting place called the Lost Arrow. and they had a hand thrown sporting clays course in Gladwin, and so we went there, and it was a big work group, and so I got to shoot a whole bunch of different types of guns. We shot 50 targets, and I hit five of them, and I think that was it. It blew. I didn't know that existed. We were walking through the woods. You have stations. They're throwing different targets. It felt like hunting without actually being there hunting, and as soon as I got home, I wanted to find out if we had anything like that near us, and that drew me to Detroit Sportsman's Congress, and then started with sporting there, then skeet, and kind of went all downhill from there.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome, man. That's so cool. I love hearing stories like that because it seems like it's always a dad or a grandpa or somebody,
Hmm.
that got you involved or got anybody involved really. And um it's just super cool to, because again, like I can relate to that. It was my grandpa who got me involved and my dad. And I mean, they were really the ones who kind of paved the way, for my shooting career and my path. Um, and really, I mean, again, like my love for this whole entire deal that we call a sport, right? So,
Yeah.
um, and I really wish people would just try it.
Hmm.
I think that, people, they don't really understand, kind of what it's about. Um, because they just think like, I think a lot of like the misconception that people have is, and maybe you agree with me or not. It's like people think of skeet shooting as like, going out their backyard and, just throwing a skeet.
Hmm.
That's what they call it, right?
Yeah.
And they're hand throwing a target out in their backyard, and like that's not what it is,
Yeah.
and that's, it's like, oh, you're a skeet shooter. Yeah, I do that at my friend's house. We shoot skeet all the time. It's like, yeah,
Yep.
no, it's not what you do.
Yep.
It's like you shoot at clay targets is what you do.
Yeah.
So
Involves a shotgun, but that's pretty much where the similarities end.
for sure. So kind of jumping back into, kind of coming back, right? Coming back into the sporting clays world. I know we're kind of jumping around and bouncing around, but um, I guess what do you think was like the biggest hurdle for you? Knowing, I guess, like this is kind of like a two-parter. Like, what was the biggest hurdle for you, knowing that you wanted to come back, and then knowing that you wanted to take this seriously, and then also like once you knew that you were kind of involved, like, I'm pretty good at this, and I think I want to take this pretty serious. Like, where was that kind of for you?
Honestly, yeah, it's just getting started. Um, and trying to kind of decipher what the route is, because I remember I started shooting that league at Bald Mountain, and as I shot, I basically just went to Google and said, all right, competitive sporting clays, Michigan, and it brought me to the Michigan Sporting Clays Association page, and then I started doing a little bit of research there. Um, yeah, and then from there, it kind of pointed me to the schedule that Michigan had, and at the time I was going down to Florida every February to go bass fishing, and so I said, well, maybe I'll just start. I I think I pulled up the Dead Pair podcast. I want to see if there's anything sporting clays related podcast world. So I looked at that, and they talked about the Florida Swing, and I said, all right, well, I'm down there in February. Uh, there's a whole circuit down there for the month of February. I'm going to check this out. So, sure enough, that same week I was fishing, they had one called the Florida Challenge, and yeah, that's kind of I signed up for it, jumped back in, and yeah, it led me to here. Shoot, I've hardly missed a week shooting since.
I know, man. You just yeah, and yeah. So how do you know how many registered targets you have to date by chance?
I want to say I'm right around 40,000.
Jesus, man, it is unbelievable.
Yeah, I
Do
think I'm
you
just under. What's I'm sorry. What?
and do you practice at all?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I mean, still roughly, I keep a logbook. I count every round that I shoot, and it's funny. The last couple years, I average right around 22,000 rounds a year, and I mean that's not by design. It just so happens to turn out that way. And the funny thing is, I was looking at my logbook this year and comparing it, and I'm within like 100 targets of where I was at this time last year. So
Wow.
it just seems to work out that way.
And you still got a lot of year left, man.
Yep.
You know, you got 800 targets this weekend. You're getting ready to go shoot. So,
Yep. But yeah,
Jesus Louise, man.
it adds up quick.
Whew. You know, at an average a buck a bird. If you do the math real quick, I'm not going to do
Well,
the
let's
math for
let's
you,
not talk about that.
but
I'd rather forget about that part.
holy smokes!
Yeah.
I'm sure you got some pretty good air miles. So,
A lot of miles on my truck, I can tell you that, and my trailer.
yeah, I
So,
bet. I meant from like credit card points or
oh yeah,
airfare miles. So.
yeah,
Oh man. Well, let's get into the meat and potatoes of this whole discussion here. So walk us through the championship weekend. So a little bit of preparation went into it. I I know you knew you could win. I know that you went into it knowing that you were 100% confident based on your skill, based on where you were mentally, based on your preparation that you've had throughout the 20,000 targets that you've shot already this year, 21,000 targets that you've shot this year so far, that, you knew that your game was at a level to where you could go into the state championship and you could win. Because you know, there's a dozen people that could win that tournament, and you are one of them. And knowing that you can go in there and win that is key. So that's kind of what I hopefully we can kind of get into and kind of just
yeah,
walk us through kind of start to finish.
yeah. That was one of the big things I think changed this year is my mindset going into it. It's and the state shoot. It's one of those ones you always want to do good going into it, and it feels like my first year was it was my first one getting into it. I remember you told me you're like if it's your first year, see you next year. Enjoy taking the experience and get better next year. So the next year I came back. 24 was at Detroit Gun Club, and I've just always struggled to put two good days together. The state shoot is 200 targets over 2 days for the main event, and I'd always put a decent first day together that I was in it, and then the next day it just fall apart. And so coming into this year, I always felt like going into it I could win it, and this year I felt like I honestly believed I was going to win it coming into it. Um, but you know, when you first step in for the first stand of the main event, for me at least is that pressure of I it, it's I feel that pressure on my shoulders. And it was no different this year. It's actually, I mean, I felt good coming in, and as soon as I walked to that first stand, it was worse than it's ever been. And I ran the first stand. The second station, I think I dropped three. And what was interesting about that is like it felt like the weight was lifted off my shoulders, and then I could just go shoot.
Yeah, no
And
doubt.
yeah, and then the next stand, I think I dropped two more, and then I kind of put it together, and I still kind of I didn't know where I was going to be, and I told myself I wasn't going to look at the scores. But after dropping eight targets on that first day, I said I just need to know if I'm still in it. And to my surprise, I was right there with a in the mix. Steve Trudeau had a 94, and I mean he's been shooting lights out overseas, and
Yeah,
so I
he
knew
has.
that was going to be a tough hurdle. But me and most of the big players were right there and tied. So I I knew at that point that I was still in it. The next day I came in, and it was really weird. I felt like there was just no pressure whatsoever, and I just shot, and I think it wasn't until 9 or 10 stations in that I felt like okay, well, you know, um, I started feeling that pressure coming back on that I was in it, and yeah, I think um, yeah, after 10 stations in, I think I was down three, and then I missed one over my last few, and ended with a 96 on the second day. Uh,
Yeah, and I mean that's a huge day two score, man. That's I mean that's as good as you're gonna get, man. I mean to have that amount of pressure, knowing what you just said, knowing that you have the pressure, but also knowing that it's like you felt good going into the second day, even though you were two back from Trudeau, you were tied with Hoodeman. You were let's see, you were tied with Jordan Hintz, who Jordan Hintz, by the way, that guy, unbelievable.
oh yeah,
One of the most consistent shooters I've ever met in my life. Um, and then you had Amber. I mean, Amber was only a
Oh,
couple back from you guys. I mean, she's
yeah.
capable of posting a
Mhm.
monster score, which she did. I mean, she posted a 95 day too.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, that's incredible. But then you had Matt Hayes. Matt Hayes was
Yeah.
one back from you. So you have five
Yeah.
shooters right there that have been shooting lights out. I mean, Matt Hayes has been shooting
Yeah.
great. Hudeman's Hudeman, and that guy's always going to shoot great. Jordan's
Yeah.
Jordan's shooting great, and then there's you. You know,
Yeah. I
and
also want to
it's
give a
like,
shout out to. Oh, so I wanted to shout out Arlen Hirschberger as well because him and I ended up tying for the main event.
oh
Since
right,
he's an
yeah,
Ohio State resident, he can't take the Michigan State crown, but he ended up being the overall champion after the shoot off. But I
yeah,
mean, he's somebody I've been shooting the last couple of years who's just a lights out shooter. So I wanted to
yeah,
give him his props as well.
absolutely, yeah. Kudos to him for sure. And yeah, sorry, Arlen, sorry for listening. So I brought up I brought up the state only one. So
Yeah,
I
I know
feel
it's a
bad on that,
Michigan State thing, but
yeah, but but yeah, so and I've seen his name, around before, and I have never had the pleasure of meeting him. I think is it his dad or his brother that shoots with
his
him?
him and his brother Marcus, they're
His
both
brother.
lights
Okay.
out. Marcus
Yeah.
won the Ohio State a couple years ago, and
Okay.
yeah, we're yeah, they're both phenomenal shooters.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, that's cool. I mean, I love that. I love it. Those guys come up north. I
Yeah,
mean, you don't hear many people coming up north, so
yeah,
that's cool. Kudos for that too. So anybody down in Ohio listening, come on up north. We're
yep.
good. We're good. We're good people up here. So just don't wear red and scarlet and gray.
Well, they'll do that anyway.
Yeah, they will. Um, but anyway, so shooting a 188. So you shot 94, 96, 188. I mean,
9296, but
that's
yes,
that's what is it, 92? I'm sorry, yeah, 92,
yep,
96 for a 188. And I mean, that's just a monster score. Monster, and I mean, that's tough to beat, man. And you have, you had Hudeman, who, is a 700 times, Michigan State champion, who shot a 185, and I mean, that guy, he doesn't really seem like he has many off days,
no,
so
no,
that just goes to show you how well you shot and how well you were prepared. And you're the champ, man. That's all I'm
oh,
gonna
thank
say.
you.
You're the champ. That's just, and it was a nice little payday for you. I mean, that was nice. I mean,
Yeah,
even though you got the runner up pay scale, because Arlen
yep.
took the shoot off. And it was interesting. I said to Paul, back to talking to Paul. I said, Steven needs to win it in, or what did I say? I said he needs to win it in regulation. I said I don't want to see him go to a shoot off. I said because if he goes to a shoot off, it's anybody's game.
Hmm.
Shoot off, anything can happen in a shoot off. And I said I want to see Steven win it outright. And when I saw you were tied for that the money, you were tied for the money. I was like, damn, and then sure enough, like he outed you, and it was just like, hey, it is what it is. But
Yeah,
still, you're the champ. I don't care.
yeah.
Who cares?
Afterwards,
So
I didn't know how it worked. I went to Danny. I said, "All right, well, Arlen's from out of state. How does this work?" And he said, "Well, if you guys just want to make an agreement, or do it however you want." So I went to Arlen. I said, "Well, if you want to get on the road, we'll just split the money and go from there." And at the end, they said, "Well, for score chaser, for the finality of the results, we should just go to a shoot off." And it was kind of anticlimactic because he comes up, he shoots. They threw three pairs for him, so he hits all six, and that means I had to hit every single one. I missed the first
yeah,
one, and so it was just
yeah,
over at that point.
yeah,
But
yeah, yeah. Right on. No, and that's cool. So at which station? I know you said you had. I guess at which. Do you remember a certain presentation or a certain pair that gave you trouble during the state shoot, and does that
yeah,
kind of coincide with? Does that coincide with any targets in specific that typically gives you trouble overall?
that's what's funny is so at the beginning when I felt like the wheels were coming off, it both the targets that I missed were not something that I would ever say I would have an issue with. So I started on station 14, and there was 15 total stations. Um, and at Detroit Gun Club, when you get out to station 15, you get out in the field, so that's where they can throw a couple bigger targets. So 15 and one were the distance targets there, and there was a tower that was behind us, and it was going out, and it wasn't anything too fast. It kind of felt like Skeet Station One, High House, and then you know the or yeah, the first bird was just kind of a light low spring trap, and the second bird was that tower. And it, for whatever reason, for me, it was just a weird transition. It got my body just out of place enough that I just never felt right shooting at that second bird, and I think that kind of got in my head. And I missed that tower, and then on the next pair, I missed the first bird, which is kind of a gimme bird, and then I think I missed the last of them. So that's three down already. And then I go to station one, and they throw another real big uh, crosser, and then a rabbit, and it was dead pair. And then for whatever reason, I missed the first bird of the second pair, and I was surprised by it. And then I missed the rabbit, and then I cleaned up the station. And then I kind of got into a rhythm from there. But in terms of trouble targets, yeah, that first day, that those first couple stations, that was pretty much it. I was pretty happy after that point. I don't think I missed more than a single target on any given station, and and then on the last day, I think I straighted the first eight stations, and then I dropped one here and one there, and I I didn't feel too bad about any of those misses. I thought they were quality misses instead of
Yeah,
just dropping dumb birds. It was
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I like a good miss. It's like you miss that,
Yeah,
and you're like, like yeah,
yeah,
okay, yeah,
yeah.
definitely missed that one.
There's so many tournaments I've gone to. Like we were talking about Matt Hudeman, how I mean he's a machine, and
Yeah,
you'll go to a tournament and you'll miss one, and for me at least, I'll think Matt's not going to miss that one, and then like hopefully I can find a station where I can maybe make that up, and then you'll get through the whole course, and you already know, when you come
yeah,
back in, all right, he's got you by two or three because
yeah, yeah,
so, so and it,
yeah,
on
for sure.
this on the second day, I didn't feel like there was any one of those that got away from me that really shouldn't have. I mean, yeah, it's one of those things. Well, yeah, I feel like you could hit them, but yeah, realistically, it's yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
it's-
when you only miss four, it's kind of hard to start pinpointing, problematic areas.
yeah,
It's like that's just pretty natural.
yeah. It's one of those things
you
where it's like,
know.
well, I could have hit those, but I could have very easily missed four more or five. Yeah,
That's what I was going to say. Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly right. So, did you shoot? So again, a little context for everybody. Um, there's, like Stephen was saying, there's two squads, or there's 2 days, and there's a morning and an afternoon on each day. And if you shoot the morning day one, you shoot the afternoon on day two. And if you shoot the afternoon on day one, then you shoot. Did I say that right? If you shoot the morning day one, you shoot the afternoon day two. If you shoot the
Yes,
afternoon day one, you shoot the morning day two. Whatever.
yeah,
Shoot the opposite.
yeah.
And so what draw did you, or what flights did you have?
So generally, I shoot the morning on day one and then the afternoon on day two. But this year I had a group of Ohio guys come up, my friends from down there, and they wanted to shoot the morning or the afternoon then the morning. That way they can get back on the road, get back down to Ohio.
Yeah.
So I did that with them this year, and weather wise, it wasn't the best plan, but it ended up working out.
Yeah. Maybe you should stick to that. You know,
Yeah.
maybe, yeah.
It, yeah,
No,
we
that's
we got a
cool.
downpour
So,
on
who was the first person you called when you knew that you had it locked up?
it. It took a while before I texted or called anybody, just because I want to make sure. I mean, because shoot, just all those names that we listed. Okay. What did Matt shoot? What did Jordan shoot? What did Matt Hayes shoot? It just Amber. It yeah. So it it was finally when I watched Matt and Steve Trudeau come in. Matt walked up to me and said, he's like, I think you got it. And that's where it kind of finally sunk in. So I have a group chat with the family, and I texted them, and so yeah, it was cool.
That is so
But
cool,
it,
man. I'm
but
trying to
yeah, it
f-
was.
I'm trying to find the text thread that I had because I was pinned to my phone, and I was pissed because they were not updating the scores. And it was like, come on, people. Like, you guys are killing me here. Um,
Yeah,
so
that was saying my
let's
girlfriend was
see.
texting me the whole time asking me what was going on.
So I said, Friday, let's see. Let's see. Thank you, sir. You're going to show me wish me this first birthday tomorrow. So Sunday, I said, weather delay. I said, did the weather delay you guys today? No delay, just no scores in. Not sure what's up. Which, because that was what I was questioning because the
Yeah,
scores weren't coming in. And I said, did you post a big one at 2:35? And then at 2:37, I said, fuck yeah, you did.
yeah.
Because I'm like, yeah, he did. And then I said, come on, Trudeau, 91 or worse. Come on, Hootie, 95 or less. And then that's when you responded. You said, thank you, sir. Matt's out. Trudeau was down 4 with about 8 left. And then yeah, just I said, dude was on the edge of my seat. I said, you wear the crown well. Can't think of a better, more deserving champion. I'm genuinely proud. Oh man, like I said, this whole text thread, man, I was just like, I was I was talking to my wife about it. I'm like, these scores need to come in, man. Like this is pissing me off.
And the
But
funny thing is that I probably shouldn't say, but I had an idea because after the first rotation, I took my camera out to get pictures for the MSCA page,
hmm
and my niece Felicity was pulling, and
okay,
so she was pulling station three. Matt and Steve Trudeau, they started around the same place I did, so I was walking around taking pictures. I got to her station, and when the squad that was shooting their left, she turned around. She says, "Matt's down three, Steve's down two." And I said, so I started doing the math in my head. I was like, "Man, they still got this many stations to go. It might happen."
yeah,
And
yeah. Well, that's great, man. So, well, before we forget, do you want to? I know that you have recently became an ambassador for a local company.
yeah,
So, would you like to call them out real quick before I forget?
Orion Outdoors, right there in Lake Orion, Michigan. The same guys involved with Michigan Shooting Centers. Uh, so I'm really excited to be working with them. And so not only will I be representing Orion Outdoors, but I'll be representing Cayman USA. Um, I got so Cayman is a shotgun company out of Spain. Orion Outdoors, they're the distributor, importer for that company, and they make amazing shotguns. I mean, world championship winning shotguns, beautiful guns. And they got demos over there. I picked one up and I fell in love with it. And so I can't wait for it to come in.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, I'm super proud of you for that, man. Again, like I can't stress enough, like they couldn't have picked a better person for that role.
Oh,
I
thank
mean,
you.
it's just the people you see, the way you carry yourself, yeah, I mean, it's just, it is a no-brainer for them, obviously. So
Well, thank
so
you.
your current shotgun setup. Tell me a little bit about your current shotgun setup and then what you're kind of going into, because that's kind of where I wanted to transition. Because I kind of thought you were going to be transitioning into the Cayman world, but
Yeah.
so just kind of tell me a little bit about what you're shooting with now and kind of where you're heading and what adjustments you're going to make kind of moving forward.
Yeah. So I'm shooting a Beretta DT11 now. Before that, I was shooting a Caesar Greeny Summit, and I absolutely love that Summit. The only thing is the gun didn't fit me. It was off the shelf, but still a great shooting gun. So I'm shooting a DT11. Have a custom stock on that, and being a big guy, wide shoulders, and I just um, the custom stock is the way to go. And so what kind of drew me to the Cayman is I've been wanting a gun with a 34-inch barrels on it. Right now, I'm shooting 32-inch barrels. And I shot it. They Pat came down to the national championships, I think in 24, and he had the demo there, and that's when I first picked it up and started shooting a little bit. Fell in love with it there. I said, yeah, maybe one day. And yeah, then when I went back over there, I was telling him what I was looking for, and then the opportunity was just there. And then what's nice about the Cayman is it comes with a custom stock. So there's a company, Manuel Ricardo, out of Portugal, makes amazing stocks, and and they're able to kind of fix some of the issues that I deal with. I have a heavy cant on my gun, just because the way my shoulders are shaped, and it's a hard thing to overcome. And so they got some good ideas for that, and so hopefully the next month or two, I'll be shooting that.
Cool.
So I'm looking forward to it.
Good for you. That's really exciting. I think it's anytime you go in to do an equipment change, it's always a little nervy, right? Like
Yeah.
you're always kind of like, "Ugh," but I think this is going to benefit you,
Yeah.
because it's fully customizable. You know you can get used to being comfortable with something new.
Yeah. 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 Generally, I wouldn't recommend an equipment change like that in the middle of the season. Um, but I feel like, I shoot enough as it is. I think I'll be able to get enough rounds through it that, yeah, I should be used to it
Yeah,
pretty quickly.
yeah,
So,
I would say for sure. So what are they going to be fixed chokes?
no, nope, I'll be running, removable chokes out of it. I kind of went back and forth. I'm not a big choke changer, but I like the option to do it. Especially if I am shooting a charity event or something like that. If I want to throw ICs or improve cylinder in there, but for the most part, I put chokes in and leave them in.
Yeah, yeah. I'm the same way. I never change them.
Yeah.
What do you what chokes do you typically run like for a tournament?
Here in Michigan, I generally just run light mods. Out here, I'm at Northbrook Sports Club for the region. Think we touched on that earlier. I just been running modifieds for that, and I know it's not that big of a difference, but modified's about as tight as I go. I've
Okay.
never really seen a need to go much tighter than that.
Yeah.
But if I need to
Yeah.
shoot something real short, I'll shoot a spreader at it.
Hmm. Interesting. I forgot they even made spreaders.
Oh
Like
yeah,
that was even a thing. Yeah.
yeah.
Huh. So yeah, what shells are you shooting?
Right now, I'm shooting the Federal Master Class, ounce and an eighth, 1235. And I've settled on that sometime last year, and I love that shell so far.
Nice. Very cool. And what do you feel that's like one piece of gear that people always tend to obsess about that you really don't seem to care about?
You know, it's funny. So I would say it chokes, but you want a quality choke, but I believe people put way too much emphasis on chokes. Like I'll sit there and a guy will, I mean, they'll obsess over, all right, well, this target's a little closer, this one's a little bit farther, and they'll make from improved cylinder to light modified, that's like a 5 thousandths of an inch difference. And on it's not going to make that much of a difference there. And I mean, I feel like most newer shooters, especially, like if if you're shooting less than an 85% average, just throw improved cylinders in and run with that until you can consistently hit that point. Then
Yep.
maybe tighten up a little bit. But I think people obsess over chokes, and an open choke will break a target much farther than most people believe,
I agree.
and honestly, like a lot farther than most people are capable of hitting. So
Yeah,
I
it's
was I,
interesting. Go ahead.
oh no, I was just saying I was at Island Lake last year, and they had a real they were throwing, I think it was just kind of a big looper way off in the distance. It took a lot of lead to break. And I just started experimenting with it. I pulled my modifieds off and I went down to IC and I was still breaking it. I went down to skeet and was still breaking it, and just consistently time after time. And sometimes I couldn't tell the difference between the breaks from a skeet to the modified.
Yeah.
Modified, you could definitely tell you got a couple more pellets in it most of the time. But I
Hmm.
was surprised at what distance that skeet choke would still break a target.
Yeah. It's interesting that you say chokes is the most obsessed like piece there because I I can't agree more.
Yeah.
It is absolutely choke tubes. You know, people can people can fight about that. And there's both sides of the argument. I can see it, but to me, it comes down to what you're most comfortable with.
Hmm.
In me, I'm most comfortable with shooting light mod. Plain
Hmm.
and simple. You're more comfortable shooting modified.
Yeah.
And who am I to tell you what you should and shouldn't shoot? Because you just won the damn state championship for crying out loud. you know? And so that's the thing. Like I don't care. But people
Yeah.
absolutely obsess about that.
Yeah.
People will go in and they will look at the show targets and they'll, oh, I got to change my choke tubes. It's like, no, you don't, man. It's like,
Yeah.
just go shoot the targets. You're fine.
And,
You're a good enough shooter.
and that's what I've been telling people is I don't think the results would be any different if I went with a lighter choke or a heavier choke. If I went improved mod or if I went down to IC, I think the results probably still would have been the
I
same.
agree. Totally agree. Can't agree more, man. So I have a couple more kind of clays related questions.
Yeah.
And then I want to spend like the last 15, 20 minutes talking about hunting. Because obviously we're an outdoors related podcast and you have the biggest bucks and the biggest fish I've ever seen on camera posted to your social media platforms. And so we got to hear about that. And the guys will kill me if we don't talk about that because
Yeah.
I've shown your stuff off to those guys before, and their responses are just like, "Are you kidding me?" you know. So, but the first thing is I wanted to do, and something I like doing, is some rapid fire questions. So I'll ask you a question, and you just give me an answer, and then we'll just go on to the next question. And if you don't have an answer, just say skip, and we'll go on to the next
Yeah.
one. All right. All right. So first one is favorite Michigan sporting clays course.
So I'm going to go a little different here. There's a tournament I love. It's called the Lewiston, or they're not doing it anymore, but Lewiston Sporting Clays. They always did an early fall tournament. It's, I mean, absolutely beautiful course. It's a old ski hill that they turn into a sporting clays course. So you kind of go up to the top and then come down. It's, I mean, it doesn't even feel like Michigan when you get up to the top.
It's
It's
above
unreal.
it's above the trees. You feel like you're above the
Yes.
clouds. It's
Mm.
unbelievable. It's
It's,
amazing.
yeah,
Yeah.
but most beautiful course for sure.
Favorite course outside of Michigan, and I believe you're
Northbrook,
there this weekend.
Northbrook Sports Club.
Northbrook. Yep.
Absolutely love this place.
Hardest target you've ever shot at.
It was probably here at it was definitely here at Northbrook, the U.S. Open 2024. They had a tower on the Winchester station that was just unreal. I think Todd Hitch was the only person to actually run it out of 1,100 people or whatever it was. Just an unreal target. So,
That's crazy.
yeah, yeah.
Favorite shotgun ever made.
Shoot, that's tough. Well, I gotta say the Cayman KM4. Get yours at Orient Outdoors.
Well done, sir. Pump semi-auto over and under.
Well, for sporting clays over and under, for me at least, yeah, I could talk about the pros and cons of all of them. For most people, I think a semi-auto is the way to go. Less felt recoil. It's just I think more people would be better off going with the semi-auto. And I have a love for pumps. I mean, that's the day I turned 18, I went to Gander Mountain and I bought me a Remington 870 pump shotgun, and that's been I still use it from to this day for ducks.
All right.
Not solely, but yeah, from time to time I break that one out. So
Fair enough. Now, here's a burning question. You might get a lot of judgment on this one. Coffee before a tournament.
I'm not. I just don't like coffee. I
See,
wish I
see
liked
that?
coffee, but I do. I'll get caffeine. I'll drink like a Celsius or yeah something, but little caffeine, not too much. But yeah, I'm just not a coffee guy.
Now, I already know the answer to this question, but your biggest superstition.
I know the one that I gave you before was yeah wearing long pants, and yeah,
That's right.
but but yeah, I just always have to rock my shorts.
This guy okay, so nobody knows yet, but it can be sub-zero temperatures and Steven is wearing shorts.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy, and why do you wear shorts, Steven?
It's not the what I just you shoot what you're comfortable in.
There you go. That's
So
exactly it.
yeah.
That's
So
exactly it.
I shot the same thing today at Northbrook in almost 90 degrees that I did back in February when it was, 16 degrees, wearing the same shirt, same shorts.
Yeah. Unbelievable. All right. And then do you have an embarrassing tournament moment?
Not off the top of my head, I can't.
Okay. Fair
I
enough.
know I've had some dumb ones, especially
My,
early on, like,
yeah.
not remembering some of the rules or whatever it was, kind of looking stupid here and there. It happens still.
Yeah. Don't incriminate yourself.
Yeah.
So if you could shoot one round of sporting clays with any three people, dead or alive, who would they be?
This is kind of a cop out answer, but I feel like I'm already doing it because the Michigan and Ohio and all these guys that I shoot with all the time. It's like I wouldn't want to shoot with anybody else. These guys that I'm surrounded with already are awesome.
Yeah.
But and I guess if you threw in, I mean, I don't know if it has to be sporting clays related or
No.
there's a lot. Yeah, I don't know. That's a tough one. Yeah, I mean, maybe some of the bow hunting people that I idolized growing up, and some of the gun writers, and yeah, that just yeah.
My three would be Pat Lesky, John
Oh yeah,
Kruger, Pat Lesky, John Kruger, Scott Robertson. Those are
oh
my
yeah.
those are my three.
That's a great list. Yeah,
Yep.
I mean it's
So
cool. Yeah, we got somebody like Pat in our backyard, and he's helped me so much over the years getting back into it. He's yeah.
yeah, that's not surprising because that man will give his shirt off his back to just about anybody. So
Mm-hmm.
he's been an avid role model for me my entire life, really. I mean, I met him at the age of 11, and I've idolized that man for many many years. So
Oh yeah.
him and his entire family is absolutely incredible.
Oh
So
yeah. Him, Drew. They're all great.
yep, absolutely. So well, so I know I just wanted to give a couple of quick little shout outs. So yeah, I know that you are a member of the Michigan Sporting Clays Association Board of Directors. Um, so thank you for your service on the board. I know that it is a volunteer position. Um, I know it's a lot of work for you guys to, try and maintain sanity, right, from
Mm-hmm.
month to month and year to year. Um, so one of the biggest questions I think that I've kind of gotten kind of over the years is, what's one of the biggest ways that you think we can get youth shooters involved into clay target shooting?
That's a tough one. Um, Yeah, I mean, I believe you're seeing growth in the SETP, but it's I don't know if it's more of how to get more shooters into it, but how to retain those shooters that are already here is, I think, a bigger question. Is it the cost? Is it there's a what is how do you bridge that gap from going from the SETP to the NSCA, or just staying a recreational sporting clay shooter, or what have you?
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, I don't know if I have all the answers, but yeah, that's a tough one.
I think, in my opinion, I think it's, you and I are examples of that. It's how do we bridge the gap between the age of 18, the age of 18 and leaving the sport and coming back at the age of 30, and the ones that don't come back at the age of 30.
Hmm.
It's how do we get those kids and those people who were, influenced by this sport back in the day, how do we get them to come back when they're able, you know?
Hmm.
Um, and what can we do to attract that, I think is important to look at overall. And I think, the SCTP growth, because you and I think I think it was the first or second year of the SCTP's inception.
Yeah.
Um, I think it started, whew, I think it started in '02 or '03, so
Yeah.
it was right there in that, early 2000s. Certainly before '05, '04.
Yeah.
But it was right in that time frame. And I can only really tell you maybe two or three people that I know that still compete that I personally shot with
Yeah.
during that time. you know um But yeah, it's interesting, and that's the $1 million question, right? Because it's an older generational sport, to where the men and women that are involved in it now, um, are of that certain age category. You don't see, I guess you see more people in their 50s and 60s than you do, I think, in their 20s and 30s.
Hmm.
Um, and that's just an interesting perspective that I have, on it. So, but I think it's going to continue to grow with the SCTP, from what it is, what it was, to what it is now. I mean, look at
Yeah,
the trap. I mean, look at the trap shooting world. I mean,
yeah.
trap shooting world's done over like 3 weeks.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I think when you and I shot the national championship back in 2005, was there even 300 people?
Ooh, I don't think so.
And I think
Yeah,
next week the Cardinal Center is going to have the national championship SCTP, and they're going to have 3,500 kids there.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And so, that says a lot about it right there.
Hmm.
They're finding the way to get them, but it's the finding the way to keep them is the big
Yes.
question. That's the big ticket item, I think. So,
Yeah.
but we can go on and on about the politics of that for as many years as we can. All right, so I don't want to keep you for too much longer. I know you got to get some sleep. You got a big tournament this weekend, but let's talk some hunting. So, tell me about your hunting property and what you guys do, because I know you guys don't shoot bucks, big bucks or little bucks. You let the little guys go. And
Hmm.
that's a big debate on our discussion boards and
Yeah.
on our episodes all the time, about, do we let them go? Do we let them grow? So tell us about your beliefs and all that, and what you guys do on your property, and how your guys' hunting camps work, and just let us hear it.
Yeah, I mean, for us, it's this just applies to our hunting property. I mean, if you have a legal tag in your pocket, I mean, it's your choice to do whatever you want with it. But
Yep.
just in our place, we try to follow a quality deer management agenda there, and yeah, it just for me, it's just fun seeing what yeah, just fun seeing a herd operate under natural population dynamics, seeing older bucks in the herd, and that's what I love to do. To me, honestly, it's like I don't even need to shoot a buck anymore. I just enjoy being out there, and yeah, it's yeah. So I'm trying to think, but yeah, our place, yeah, I I'd love to be like Iowa and put an older buck rule on it, but for us, if we can get a buck to 3.5 years old, that's um personally, I don't want to shoot a buck that's 3.5, but yeah, if we can get them there, that's a win.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So what do you think? I know you've got pictures of, you know massive deer out there. So what do you think the oldest buck out there you guys get pictures of?
it's, I mean, honestly, it's younger than it was 10 years ago. Um, we one of the issues that we've been dealing with is a lot of fragmentation of the properties around us. When we first got our property back in '99, there were a couple big landowners around us, and then as people pass away and kids take over and whatnot, those 400-acre chunks get turned into 40-acre chunks, and now just your hunter density is gone up. So it's
Mhm.
um, I mean, there's not many deer on our place right now that are hitting that 4-year-old mark. It's
Okay.
been tough, but it's been a fun challenge. But
Yeah.
trying to, and I'll also add that since getting back into sporting clays, I've kind of been slacking on the food plots and whatnot. It's you know and this year I over Fourth of July I did some spraying up there, so I'm gonna have those rocking this year pretty good,
Nice.
and
And
that's
what are you spraying?
I'm just spraying the grass and weeds and getting them ready to plant at the end of this month or early August. Most of them.
Nice.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
What? I guess that was kind of where I was going. What are you going to plant up there?
So most of what I plant, I love brassicas for deer. I don't mess with a lot of. I don't really put spring summer plots in. Here in Michigan, most areas of the state, a deer has 5 times as much nutrition as it needs during the spring and summer than it does in the fall. So if I can hold those deer in the fall and then give them something in the winter, just kind of keep take some of the stress off of them. So I love a good brassica mix. Anything that I get in late, I'll put in like a winter wheat or rye mix. That stuff I can plant, Labor Day weekend, sometimes even into early October. I can get wheat and rye in and get a decent food plot in.
Nice.
So
And how many acres do you guys have?
about 700.
What? I did
It's
not
a
know it was that much.
it's a decent chunk of land.
A decent. Stephen, 700 acres? Jesus Christ, dude. Oh my goodness. I did not know that. Oh man. I am blown away. 700 acres.
It keeps us busy.
Holy crap. I'm speechless. I don't even know what to say. That's unbelievable. Wow. And so you're a big fisherman. I've
Hmm.
seen some big fish. What kind of fish do you have um, in the ponds out there? Because you have two ponds or one?
There's a lake in the middle of the property.
A lake. Sorry, a lake.
But it's mostly a largemouth bass and pike lake.
Jeez.
And that's mainly what we target up there. There's a couple streams on the property. I'll mess around with the trout. There's some brown trout in there, but mainly the largemouth and the pike is what I'm
Wow.
targeting up there. So
Wow. Unreal, man. Well, I again, I'm totally speechless. I don't know what to say about that. You'll have to send some pictures our way again. I know I
yeah,
can pull some off social media and I'll share a bunch of stuff and all that. But yeah,
absolutely.
best of luck to you, man. I hope you guys can continue to grow the herd. Not kill the herd that we always talk
Yeah,
about on here and all that stuff. And I think you know I wish a lot of Michigan hunters, and I think I can speak for the other guys in the show, can be as can have that same approach that you and your family do to
yeah,
respecting the hunt and respecting
yeah.
the harvest and all that, and that's super cool.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah,
really cool.
yeah. For me, it's I can't control what the neighbors shoot, and I mean, more power to them, whatever they want to shoot. But I can
Yeah,
only control what happens on our land, and
yeah,
yeah, and but I
most
deer hunt,
definitely.
I live for it. So
Yeah. Well, cool, man. Well, do you have any final thoughts? Any final comments, questions,
yeah,
concerns?
thanks for having me on. I feel like I finally made the big time. I think I
Yeah,
told you last year. I said this is the my grass cutting podcast, or my
no,
cut
that's
the grass
awesome, man.
podcast, and
I'm we're thankful that you listen, man. We appreciate you and everybody for that matter that listens. This journey has just been unreal. I've been absent honestly for the past 20 weeks, and 28 weeks. I've been
wow,
maybe on this is maybe my third episode since episode 200, and
wow,
but things are still rolling. The guys have kept everything going good. Quick shout out, if you don't mind, real quick, just a quick shout out to our sponsors, West Point Shores. Um, if again, make sure you go out to if you're up in that Alpena area, um, check them out, westpointshores.com. They'll have should have some open availability. They probably don't at this point. I know they post on their social media if they do, and then Vanguard Outdoors as well. They've been great to us, and then Michigan Operation Freedom Outdoors, Tom and his crew. We appreciate them and everything they do for the veteran community in the state of Michigan and beyond. So.
awesome.
Um, yeah, so with that all being said, Stephen, I wish you nothing but the best this weekend at the regional. Um,
Thank you.
I mean, if you win the regional, I might just fall over. This episode might not even air because I may not ever be able to listen to it. So
I got a long
um,
way to go from there. So
yeah, But yeah, thank you so much for your time today. Best of luck to you, man. Give all of our Michigan peeps over there some knuckles for me, and wish everybody the best. And I appreciate your time, man.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Cool. All right, everybody. Thanks a lot for your time. Uh, that was Stephen Steele, the Michigan State Sporting Clays champ. Get outdoors and don't be terrible.